What are they saying?
But I need a hip replacement.
Right or left hip?
Right hip.
So let me ask you, I'm having some issues with my right leg, I kind of like I get numbness there when I'm out walking and exercising. Were you having any of that circulation problem because your hip, because it might be pinching a nerve, or was it just painful to walk and be mobile?
No, it's osteoarthritis.
Oh, okay.
That's the diagnosis.
Go here. Brad, you're gonna show off for us today what we worked on?
I've been practicing a little bit. Yeah, we'll do something.
Yeah, well, we want to get rid of the ums.
We can do that.
Good.
No problem. Let's see. Since we talked, I brought on two more, or is it three? Two more for sale by owners.
I mean,
So,
you listed them?
Yeah. Yeah,
Wow.
what was it last Friday? Last Friday. Yeah, cool.
And there's Vanta White, she's here. And Bob Eubanks here, named Sherry. That's you, Don.
Bob Eubanks. As long as they don't duke it out with Happy Gilmore, right? I'm working on changing that.
The price is wrong.
The name is wrong. Price is right. Sign here. Name is wrong. Who cares?
Bob Eubanks used to be the Newlywed Game?
Price is right.
No, Newlywed Game.
Oh, that's right. The whoopee, right?
Are you thinking Bob Barker for The Price is Right?
Yeah, that's Bob.
That's Bob Barker, right?
So I got one for you. Who was the dating game?
Chuck Woolery.
That
No.
amazing.
Not originally.
Oh.
Good guess though.
I got
Had
all
the
these on
had the
here.
hair.
Trying to make you co-host, Louise. People are coming in like crazy.
Okay.
I don't know, Denny. You got us.
An agent called me today to schedule a showing for one of our property listings.
Mhm.
And she talked about how crazy everything is with all of the papers that need to be signed. And I was just quiet. And she said, "You're with KW, aren't you?" I said, "Yeah." She said, this hasn't affected you because you've been doing this, haven't you?" I said, "Yeah."
Your co-host now, Louise. There we go. Let them in. Hey, everybody, it's 1 o'clock, and I was just doing a little admin there. Welcome everyone to Mastery, Friday, September 6th, and I appreciate you being on. And what we do here, if you're watching for the first time or watching by the YouTube channel, is really mastery level role play. And when I say mastery, it's all question based. Anyone can just kind of like talk until your clients finally wave a white flag or tell you to leave. But it's question-based listening enhanced conversations. It is the 6th of September. And if you're watching and you would like to join us live, I think we've advanced now. You go to denny.com and catch us live every Friday, 1 to 2 Eastern time. And we are also, there's about 200 plus videos. If you have insomnia or you like to learn a little bit, we have over 200 videos on the YouTube channel. So I want to go and give you a thought of the day, as I kind of teased you a little bit today. So as you know, we talk about a lot of things in kind of depth here that we'll get into role play. Here's my thought of the day. You've heard me say before, and I have to do a kind of a little webinar somebody wants to film when I'm finished with you guys today on some of the things we should quit. One of the things we should quit is quit setting prices, start setting expectations. And going through the several hours of interviews, I got about 8 hours of interviews with my with the author. That's, I guess they call my ghostwriter. She's my book consultant. We're putting my thoughts together, and this is a foundational principle. And I know you guys are kind of moving along on the concept of setting expectations, not prices. And we can talk about it. However, I worry sometimes that I'm not being very clear with you guys. I might be setting the wrong tone. For example, I've got another analogy for you. And so I'm going to give it to you, and you can tell me what you think will go on in the role play. So I'm 100% in agreement with we share what we know, we don't guess, and we don't share what we don't know. To me, that's the definition of an expert. So the three things that we should know, what is sold, and we go to a listing with what is sold. We know what's active, so there's a past and a present, and we should have an understanding of the trends. Now, there's someone in our world that we see or hear almost every day that follows the same principles. Does anyone want to take a guess on who that person is? It could be a man or a woman. However, we come in contact with them almost daily. Anyone take a wild idea?
The consumer, the market.
Look at the slide behind me. So weatherman, that's a weather person. So what does a weatherman do? Well, they take data, they look at satellite imaging, and they kind of look at, they know historically what temperatures have been. They always say record temperature. They take satellite data and low and high pressures, they map it out, that's current. And then they what? Give a forecast. And there's your 7-day forecast, right? High and low. Now, everybody knows that's a forecast. Now, here's my point. Can't we do the same thing with a seller? Give them a forecast, what we call a range. However, here's it, and I didn't want to come off like we could not. It's like, well, you pick the price, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, whatever. I know that's what I say, but I want to make sure that you understand. My grip's not that tight. We can take current and past data and give them a range like the weatherman, right? And we can say based on what the market's doing now and the past, homes like yours, and you can see them here, are selling between 325 and 375. Now, when I say that, I'm not suggesting that's the same as putting your fingerprints on the number. Why? Because number one, it's a range. Number two, you're not saying that's what's going to happen. You're saying, here's this important thing. The weatherman's not going to say that either, based on this forecast. Now, am I splitting hairs? Are you kind of getting the drift here? Of maybe I'm not as dogmatic as I appear to be, meaning I wouldn't even give them a. I think this is safe. Any comments from you guys on that?
I think it's relatable.
And I think it's a great analogy too.
Yeah, great analogy.
And say, listen, okay, so if you watch the weather, right? I mean, people watch the weather. I mean, they want to know what the weather is. And you're right. You're right, Manali. This is relatable.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. I think it's any way to break down the information to the client in a way that they contact every single day that they're already familiar with, and we can roll with that analogy. I think it makes a lot of sense.
Good.
Denny, I have one thought, and it goes back to something you said a long time ago. I can't, who am I to predict that, oh, in this neighborhood, the house is going to sell for 600, that you're not going to get 750. I can't absolutely 100% that somebody's not going to be an outlier and pay 750. So a weatherman can't absolutely predict it's going to be 129 degrees in Phoenix, but he can certainly think, yeah, it's going to be between 100 and 105. So one thought that you threw out a long time ago was, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, if you're thinking 700 and everything else in the past has sold for 6, show me a property that has started with a 7.
You can do that. However, in those conversations, Don, here's the thing, and I think you'll agree with this. I want that conversation after what? The knuckle bump.
Mm-hmm.
Get the commitment. Now going back there, you're on the track that I want to go next, then we'll move on. So you're in Phoenix, I know, and you were saying this morning you were on a bike ride or something. It was 113, right?
130.
You just said 130, but it was 113 this morning.
Yes, I was 130 in the infrared sauna where I bike ride. Yes.
Well, you should go outside. It'd be cool. I don't know why you'd ride your bike.
So-
It's crazy. So here's my point. Is it possible that the weatherman could be wrong? Could there be something happen that gives a spike in the temperature?
Yep.
Sure. And if the seller, now this is where the analogy mentally is kind of like you have to get off the path a little bit. So you're saying based on historical data, the forecast should be, if you look at this, I would say you're between 525, 550. This is what the market's showing. Now that's a difference than you saying this is what I think. This is what I believe the market's showing. Your fingerprints on it. What did you want? I want 650. Now, nothing changes. Nothing changes. Okay, so if we were going to list your house with me at 650 as the initial asking price, would you move forward? Okay, knuckle bump. Can we have a conversation of what's going to happen next? What the point I wanted to make today is you don't necessarily have to give a range. However, if you wanted to give a range, like a weatherman, and you use that analogy, I don't think that's wrong. So
That's correct. I mean, you have to study the market every single month. In Florida, Florida realtors provide the report every month, and you can see what is the tendency in the market in the different counties and inclusive in different zip codes. So you can use all of that data to create a forecast like the weatherman,
yeah, and I don't want to have to beat a dead horse here, but sometimes I hear on the role play that you guys are afraid to give a number, and I don't think there's anything wrong with saying, hey, look, based on the information here, you look at this house, they're all selling between 5 and 525. So like a weatherman, if I had to predict, or maybe that's kind of the temperature range, 550. Where do you want to begin? So anyway, I think there is an analogy, and again, there is a distinction from saying, according to the data, one could come to this conclusion versus saying, here's the important part, I believe this is what's going to happen. When you put your first person pronoun associated with a number, that's the same as fingerprints. So enough of that, unless you want to talk about it some more. Let's go into what's on your mind today. What direction would you like to go?
Matt had his hand up. Matt Cannon.
Matt, oh yes. In fact, Matt, hang on, where are you? We have hey Matt, just 1 second. Brad won a coaching call, and he had a 30-minute coaching call with me. And I didn't use sandpaper. I got out the grinder on him. And in the 30-minute coaching call, I mean, sometimes you get back to the basics. What was the thesis, your big takeaway, Brad, on the 30 minutes we spent together?
Practice, 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 and get rid of know what you're gonna say so that you don't have to go and think about it.
All right, so that's the bull ride we talk about. So he's actually, congratulations, you picked up 2 or 3 more by owners since you talked to me, right?
Yes. Yes.
So there's a guy that's got the weirdest swing in the world, yet he's winning PGA championships. So that's okay. You can't argue with success. So Brad, would you please demonstrate, and let's let the jury, judge and jury, see how you're doing. And please don't do it sitting.
Okay. All right. So let's see here. I guess I'm calling Matt. So ring, ring, ring.
Hello.
Hi, I'm calling about the home for sale. Is this the owner?
Yeah, who's this?
Thank you for taking my call. This is Brad. I'm with Tri-Life Realty at Keller Williams in Springfield. The reason for my call is twofold. One, to see if you're cooperating with real estate agents when we bring you a buyer. Are you?
Yeah, if you have a buyer.
Great, great, perfect. And The other question is, I know that time tells, if you're not successful selling it on your own, you'll end up using a real estate agent. How long do you think you'll try on your own?
There you go. That's a bull right now. DLG. Recognize those words a little bit?
Sounds a little familiar, yeah.
Yeah.
Love it, love it.
So you can put in the chat if you want on like a diver scale. How did he do? Put it in the chat. 10 is like a perfect dive. Greg Louganis. I'm dating myself. Where's the chat here?
What script is he using?
That is Jeff Glover.
I think it's Dr. Lauren Goodwin's. All right, we got a 7. I got a 9. Great job, Brad. That's not even a number. DLG. I can tell you it was better. It was better. I mean, that was much better than a week. So you haven't practiced it, but I counted like 2 ums in there and an awkward pause when you before you go into the question. Any other feedback, Don? You wanted to say something?
I caught the 2 ums and the pause that if he's got something that's really a driver personality, they're gonna go, see ya.
Right.
Can't pause. Gotta go.
So DLG, do you want to deliver your do you want to do that or something else? And even if you do something else, I want you to deliver your conversation.
I'll do for sale by owner.
All right, you'll call Model E.
Natalie and I had a conversation earlier this morning.
Yeah.
You can go with somebody else. That's okay.
No, it's fine.
Okay.
Ring, ring, ring.
Hello?
Hello, I'm calling about the home for sale. Is this the owner?
Yes.
Hi, my name is Dr. Lauren Goodwin. I'm the local realtor. Reason for my call is twofold. One, to see if you are cooperating with real estate agents who bring you buyers. Are you?
Yeah, I'm willing to compensate the agent that brings me a buyer.
Fantastic. Happy to hear that. And the second reason for my call is because we know that studies tell us if you're unsuccessful as an unprotected seller, then you're going to be hiring an agent. So my question is, how long do you plan on trying it on your own?
Time.
Wow.
I'm gonna have you stop. That's the bull ride. So, all right. Did you hear? Brad is almost the same conversation. One more knuckle bump I'm going to give you, Brad. You started to get some tone in your conversation, so it didn't sound like so monotone. It was good. So, what'd you think of that? You notice how she had no pauses between her breaks. The other thing she's doing well is that the second part she's going, you did both questions. Imagine when you pick up the phone, you got things going on in your life, right? I mean, your dog just pooped on a carpet, who knows what. And so they're not going to catch you for a few minutes, seconds. Now, one more time, DLG, go through it again with Model E and listen to how, and the words aren't as important as how well you can deliver them in an understandable way. One more time, DLG.
Okay. Ring, ring, ring.
Hello?
Hello, I'm calling about the home for sale. Is this the owner?
Yes. Who's this?
Fantastic. My name is Dr. Lauren Goodwin, local realtor, and the reason for my call is twofold. One, to see if you are cooperating with real estate agents who bring you buyers. Are you?
Yeah, I'm willing to pay a buyer's agent.
Okay, fantastic. Happy to hear that. And the second reason for my call is because studies tell us that if you're unsuccessful as an unprotected seller, then you're going to be hiring an agent. So my question is, how long do you plan on trying it on your own?
That's 32 seconds. So that is a classic way of getting it. I mean, I would give that, I don't know if there's such a thing as a 10, but it works. Now, Brad, you've got a conversation that works, and it'll work more when you get just a little bit smoother. So you're making progress. The thing I want you to notice is the transitions. The second question is the most complex.
Mm-hmm.
It breaks it up into little pieces, so they're hearing it. Sometimes we get a little keyed up anyway. We go so fast over it, they hear it, but they don't understand what we're saying.
Okay.
Any comments on that, you guys? So
Mine is just practice. Since we talked, I haven't practiced it a whole lot. So mine is just practice, getting it down.
you should have told me that before I wasted a bunch of time on you, okay?
Perfect practice, Brad, not just practice.
That's right.
Perfect.
That's
Yeah,
right.
practice it with the intonation, practice it with the flow, you know.
Perfect.
Yeah.
practice it with somebody else or record yourself again. Anyway, there you go. So DLG, you got your hand up, Model E. You got your hand up. What are we doing, Docker?
Let's do at the table and let's do a seller objection. It doesn't matter.
Seller doesn't want to pay buyer's agent compensation.
Okay.
All right, Model A, you might as well, you're in second position, you might as well be the seller.
Okay.
Okay. So Madeline, now that we've gone through everything, I understand that there's some hesitation with not paying the buyer's agent commission. Is that correct?
Yes, that's right. I liked everything you said, but I just don't want to pay the agent, the buyer's agent.
Okay. Other than that, we have agreed that it would be a good idea for us to work together. So we've agreed to work together, correct?
Yes.
Great, perfect. So I will say once you put your home on the market, there's going to be one of three things that are going to be happening. Okay. We're going to either get little to no showings, we're going to have some showings and no offers, or the house is going to sell. Okay. Are you understanding of those three
Yeah, but what does
possibilities?
that have to do with me not paying the buyer's agent?
Well, here's what might happen. We have other competition that's going to be on the market. And let's say you put yourself in the buyer's position, right? You have 3 homes. One home is going to offer 4% in buyer's agent's commission. One's going to offer 1%. The other one's going to offer 0%. Which home would you more than likely put your offer in on?
The one that's going to cover what I need to pay my agent.
Right. And that's what a lot of the buyers are going to be thinking as well. And so those one of three outcomes, if we're seeing that we're not getting a lot of interest, it may be that buyers are going to other properties that are offering a buyer's agent commission. Could
Can
you
I
understand?
pause you guys a moment? Can I pause you guys?
Yeah.
This is interesting.
I know it was a little choppy, but trying something out.
I really think you might be on the wrong road.
Okay.
So let's try this. Madeline Johnson and everything. All right. So are you ready to move forward?
I am, just as long as we understand I'm not paying the buyer's agent.
Okay. So then we've agreed that you've agreed to my fee as your listing agent
Absolutely.
as X, and we've agreed on an initial asking price, correct?
Correct.
So I'm going to stop just for a second and stop to watch. And this was modeled this morning by Matt. Matt's on Recon with us, as you know. And I like this, is that get agreement on your fee, Dr. Lauren.
Yeah.
I
First.
thought I did that, but maybe I didn't do that very clearly.
She did actually. That was really good.
Oh, okay.
Did she? I missed it.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
She did.
And then here's the other thing. I'm not really sure the 1 and 3 things, and this is what we can talk about in a second. I don't think the 1 and 3 things, low to no showing, show no offers, it sells, is going to be a factor of the compensation offered or the incentive that's offered.
I don't think so either.
Does that make sense to you guys, or should we explain that a little bit?
It makes sense.
She's referring to the sheet we use, and Louise will probably put in a chat. Is this one here?
I think it's more of like the sheet that you put behind you last Friday. The 4 options of what could happen.
Yes.
Oh, that's the thing. I took a screenshot of that today, but I didn't get a chance to look at it yet.
Well, this is, I think it's really important to understand is that I don't think we should use the fishing form, the 3 outcome form. That's based on pricing. And if it's right, here's the other thing I want everyone to understand. If it's priced competitively, will compensation to the buyer's agent matter?
No.
I'm going to hear everybody say yes or no, shake your head, nod your head.
No, it won't matter. If it's priced right and the seller gets the bottom line of what they want.
So keeping you guys pure on this, and I mean, we're all family here. I want you guys to be bulletproof. Compensation does not drive showings.
Right. Fair. Yes.
So the 1 and 3 things sheet is on pricing. So if you offer a 10% buyer's incentive and it's not priced right, what happens? It's not going to sell. So All right, so that's number
That's
one.
fair.
I'll stop you on that road, and let me just go through, because I don't know if you've heard the conversation. So now that we agreed to work together and we understand you understand my fee and on the initial asking price, can we have a conversation about buyer incentives? Or I'm sorry.
Oh, right. That's
Seller incentives. Natalie,
Yeah.
we're back to you.
Okay, yeah. What do you have to say about that?
Okay, so you said, now there's a lot of ways I could go. Like number one is you say that you don't want to pay anything. You don't want an offer an incentive to a buyer's agent to bring their buyer here. Is that what you said?
That's right. That's right. It's not, I don't feel like it's my responsibility. I'm paying you because you're listing my property.
Okay,
The buyer should pay their agent.
okay. Now, again, there's a couple ways to go. One way could be, well, you bought this house, right? When you bought the house, did you buy your house through a real estate agent?
I did.
And was it listed by that agent or another agent?
Another agent.
And do you know if your agent got paid?
Yes, the seller paid for the buyer's agent.
Okay, well, where did they get the money?
Well, the seller agreed to, I guess, split it with the agent.
So, but I got that. They had an agreement how the fee was going to be paid. However, they baked that in to the asking price. True?
Yes.
I love the term that baked it in. I love that term. I don't know why. I don't bake. So therefore, who paid it?
Oh, I guess I did.
Now, that could be, you could go down that road, that could set the table for this conversation. So as your agent, we know we talked about the 1 and 3 things that are going to happen based on our positioning, which I'm talking about pricing. May I share with you the 1 of 4 things that may be happening on the incentive? I keep saying compensation if you offer low to no incentives, may I share what's going to happen next? And so you'll say, sure.
Sure.
And so when this is up, you can take a picture of it. Somebody actually called me yesterday. They said they're using this and it's working beautifully for them. So good for them. The first thing, Model E, is the buyer may instruct the buyer's agent not to show them homes that requires them to pay any portion of what the buyer's agent's compensation. So do you understand what I'm saying? The buyer may say, look, I want to buy a house, but if I have to pay anything out of my pocket, I don't want to see it.
Mhm.
Does that make sense?
Yes.
So that is a showing that we will not get. Number 2, the buyer may submit an offer that stipulates the seller pays the buyer's agent compensation. So they may make an offer on your house. They may look at it and say, okay, well, I'm going to offer you X. And not only I want you to include the avocado green freezer in the I want you to compensate my buyer's agent X. So the good news is we got the offer. I mean, showing and we have the offer. However, now they're asking you to pay. Does that make sense?
It does.
So I'm going a little slow, but you want to make sure they're with you. You can't talk rocket science really fast. Number 3, and this may sound familiar because I think this is what happened when you bought the house. Well, actually, no, it was number 2. The third option can be the buyer may deduct the buyer's agent's fee from their offer price. Because if they know that they have to pay their fee, instead of offering you this, they're going to deduct what they have to pay the buyer's agent. And because they're not going to pay the fee twice. Fair?
I get what you're saying.
And the last thing that can happen is that the buyer may love your house so much they'll like to proceed, even though you're offering 0 incentives to them or their agent.
And that's just it, Denny, that if they love it so much, they'll come up with the money to
True.
pay the agent.
True. Now, I guess the question I'm going to ask you, and now we've never had this role play past this part, and now, so I'm glad you're pushing back. My question is this: what's better for you? One buyer that's willing to one buyer, for example, and again, number 4 could be an option. But now imagine, now this is where Dr. Lauren was going. Put yourself in the agent's shoes. And now Matt said this earlier today. Most agents sell maybe 4 homes a year. Did you know that?
I didn't.
So it's like and they're only doing 4, so every sale is important, and probably the first thing they look at is what are they going to get paid. So imagine now the agent's going to get paid, $15,000 to sell your neighbor's house, your competition's house, and not get paid anything to sell your house. Can you see how that might work against us?
Certainly, I can see that.
Okay.
But I still feel like the buyers hiring somebody to show them houses and negotiate for them. So it's like me asking the buyer to pay for you. That's my
Okay.
lease.
Well, all right. All right. So, all right. That's another conversation I'll let you take. You guys can play with that a second. I want to stay on this one track one more time. Can you see where so, all right, I'm going to stop here. I have gone over the outcomes, no different than going over the 3 outcomes of overpricing or positioning your home, correct?
Yes, correct.
So my point is, we've already agreed to work together. We've
Yep.
knuckle bumped. She's paying my fee. If I've gone over these things, I'm not going to get into a mud wrestling situation with her on incentives to the buyer's agent, because time may have to teach her something. I'll stop there. Tell me what you're hearing.
I love that. I love that because I feel like a lot of these sellers now are getting so much information from the media, right? Like wrong information of, oh, now you're going to save money and you don't have to pay, the buyer's agent. So I think they're holding on to that so dearly that it makes our job harder. So I agree with you 1,000%. I think time will show them that they need to start, the longer they're on their market, they'll see for themselves. So no, I don't think it's worth fighting with them about it.
No, I'm not going to get into a fist fight.
Not at all.
What else do you guys have to say on that?
Denny, I was going to say what Matt did so well is, hey, Matt, Elise, if this sale represents a third to maybe 50% of that agent's annual income, is there a possibility that they just may pass you on by and go to your competition that's paying them something? Is that a possibility?
It is a possibility.
Okay.
But she, hang on, but I'll tell you what she's going to say. I don't care if they like my house enough, they're going to come.
Exactly.
Okay. And you may be 100% right. What are you going to do if that doesn't happen?
Well, okay, so do we have to ask that question?
Or, well, how long we can do that? What happens if the market says no to you saying no to them? What are you going to do then?
I think it should be something to address 2 weeks down the road. Like I in a listing presentation, I wouldn't even go there.
Okay.
Not right now.
You guys
I
are kind
agree
of
with
quiet
that.
on this. I want
Explain it
this
to 'em.
discussion because this is all new to all of us. You see,
It is.
Don, I think we can do that on positioning on price after the knuckle bump. What are you
Yeah.
gonna do if the market says no? I don't think we can do it on this. I think time goes by, and here's my prediction. Let's say you go 1 week and load of no showings, outcome 1. Second week, load of no showings. Third week, you have a conversation. Here's my gut feel. The first thing before they address price or positioning, probably the first thing they'll do, all right, I'll tell you what, why don't we offer 2 points for a buyer's incentive? They'll probably change their compensation program before they change their price. That's going to be my guess. And
I
guess
think
it's not
sorry.
going to work. Do you understand? It won't work. Because if it did work, then we'd have to agree to the point that compensation matters. If someone's selling a $20 bill for $21, I don't care what incentives you offer it, it has to be greater than the dollar because you're paying too much for it. But if you're selling the $20 bill for $18.50, you don't need an incentive.
Right.
So at that point, what do you suggest? Do we have like 2 weeks from now, right? The house hasn't had any showings or very little. Do you then take out the 3 outcome sheet and talk about the price and then forget the whole compensation?
Well, Yes.
I mean, but what about this? Because this is something that I'm kind of mulling around. What if during your weekly updates, when you're sending them the marketing update, right? Where's the market at? Where are we at? You send them information on not only what homes have sold, what they have sold for, days on market, but you tell them what they're offering in compensation. You add that as an additional layer. What if you provide that information? Because if they see that homes are selling that are providing compensation and they're not, is that a conversation? Is that a conversation starter? Is that something that we can talk about?
Here's my point on it. Number one, there'll be no more easy way to find out what people are offering unless you're going to call everybody.
Fair.
Big fat waste of time. Secondly, if you suggest, well, hey, these homes have sold and they're offering X as a seller incentive, and they take your advice and offer a seller incentive, but they don't reposition, it's not going to sell. They're following your advice and that's not working. Who do they blame?
I mean, I think it would be I wouldn't necessarily say to offer that. That would be something, again, of like not putting your fingerprints on the price point. I would just offer it as additional information and then something to have a conversation around. But I definitely understand what you're saying. I mean, if it's about price and they don't reposition, it's going to be about price, not going to be about compensation.
So how many people have had conversations with sellers? You've got a listing right now that's not selling. And so what they want to do is they want to rearrange the furniture. Let's redo our pictures. Let's add an incentive. I've got somebody who's selling a penthouse now that's giving away a porch, right, to the agent. None of that will work because everything's based on positioning. So the issue is this. I don't know, and I'm working through this like you guys are too.
It sounds like
Hang on. Let me get this out. Hang on. You're seeing me kind of like transparent.
Yeah.
I don't know that it really matters what the compensation program is. I keep saying it, what seller incentives there are. You are better off lowering the price 2.5% or 3% than you are offering a co-broke. You can't use that term anymore, but you know what I'm saying? So
yeah.
Somebody's going to strike me with lightning.
No, I kind of agree with that. I mean, I was talking to one of our someone in leadership the other day, and they were like, this may be taboo, but I'm going to fight for my commission. And if they don't want to pay the buyer's agent, they're not going to pay the buyer's agent, because the buyer's agent, when they submit their offers, the sellers are going to see what they're asking for. People, at least in our market, in our area, people are either going to submit an offer that contains their buyer's agent's fee, or they're, like you said, those 4 outcomes that are on that screen of yours. I think the sellers are going to naturally encounter them. They're going to have offers that ask for buyer's compensation. They're going to have offers that are lower. And I think at the end of the day, you review the offers and you make your decision based off of that. That's what, and I was like, been thinking about that a little bit. And what you just said kind of makes sense to me. Still thinking about it, but I think you're right. I don't think it's going to matter.
What do you guys think about, like, if the buyer, right, is already short on money, and let's say that the listing now dropped $10,000, is that really a big difference for them? Like, as far as like a monthly mortgage, it's not that big of a difference. So they still have to pay 3% to their buyer's agent. So I feel like the compensation is still, at least from what I'm seeing, is still a big point for them, for the buyer.
Well, all right. Here's a point. Anyone can weigh in. If you get okay, so you all know what a bell-shaped curve is.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
And there's outlier events. An outlier event is you going and buying a lottery ticket and winning. That's an outlier event because most people did not win. So short of an outlier event happening, if a buyer wants to buy your house, because of laws of probability, and that buyer doesn't have the down payment, however they want to buy it, that means it's probably in a market range. You're offering a $20 bill for at least $20. There'll be another buyer that wants to buy it. And if you're representing the seller, you don't care about the buyer who doesn't have the $10,000. Another buyer will buy it. Now, does that make sense, anybody?
Yes,
Mark,
it
you
makes
came on
sense.
camera. You must want to say something.
Hi, thank you.
You said what, Mark?
Hold on.
You got two things. Admit. Did I lose Louise? Louise, you here?
Okay, I think I've got it satisfied now. So I jumped into the call a little bit late, and I would say that the market is going to dictate the terms. And this morning I saw a post, and I think it came, perhaps the source was other than Zillow, but Zillow used data that showed a heat map of where buyers markets are and where sellers markets are in the country. And my particular area was in blue, and it was a big blue dot. And the Northeast and the Midwest showed red, and like Boston was a big red dot, meaning it was a big seller's market. So I think there's not a one size fits all solution, that there are some commonalities that we use, and that we can cross sort of pollinate, if you will. But I think you have to tailor it to your given circumstances in your own market.
Okay. Well, what would you like? I'm hearing an echo. Is that you from you still, Mark? I guess not. All right. Who would like to do a role play? Who would like to talk about something?
Danny, can I say something real quick?
You may.
It's the same thing. So I guess from all of this, right, what I'm gathering is we're trying to figure out if we get the listing 2 weeks later, nothing's moving. There's no offers, no showings. So what we're trying to figure out here while we're brainstorming is whether we advise to drop the price or to start offering buyer's agent compensation.
Okay, hang on with that thought, right? Hang on. Is that the question?
That
If
is
you-
the question.
A listing right now, let's say it's a listing before August 17th, was in June. You have a listing that's getting no offer.
I believe like current listings.
I got it, but let's just go back before this thing.
Okay.
The seller's getting no offers, no showings, so it's outcome one in the three outcomes. And what if you offer a bonus? This has been done a lot. Let's offer a bonus to the showing, to the selling office. Right? Will that work?
Not really, because the buyer's the one getting financed.
All right, so let's go to the, now your question. Now the seller's not offering any compensation or incentive, right? So what you're asking is, then if you then offer the compensation and leave the price where it is, will it help? I think the answer is no. It's no different than an overpriced listing you've had forever, and let's double the commission. It won't move the needle because it doesn't really incentivize the buyer.
Unless they're priced at a regular unless they're priced competitively with everything else in the neighborhood.
I agree with that, Matt, because I think I think in that sense, if they are priced competitively and you're offering that incentive, I think that would push the needle a little bit for a buyer.
Well, if it's price competitive, there's more than one buyer, and there's going to be, and here's the opportunity in all this, you guys. I mean, we have people calling like crazy, our listing agents. What are you offering? What are you offering? Blah, blah, blah. Yeah. Because they're getting zero from their buyers. Well, the opportunity is for us not to be working with buyers that say, I'm not going to pay anything. Then it doesn't matter to you working with buyers at all.
Right.
How about that?
Well, that's what's happening. That's what's happening in my situation. I get calls on all my listings and they're asking, are you offering anything? And I think, and you tell them yes or no, and then you just report that information to the seller, and you explain the no incentives, the 4 outcomes or the 4 incentives, and you just review with them, weekly, bi-weekly. And I mean, it all comes to light eventually.
Thank you, Brad. Somebody said something. Who's next? Yeah, go ahead, Doug.
Thanks. I don't have the capability to raise my hand. I don't know why, but I'll figure that out. But first time caller, glad to be here. The question, Denny, to you and the group is that aren't many folks just assuming that the consumers are well informed and that they're keen to everything that's happening in our industry? I would have a tendency to disagree. I think there are a lot of people right now, as we're coming up to an election, that aren't very well informed. I think that if we present our value first and foremost, either to a seller or to a buyer, and then we stand our ground, we're going to achieve what we want to achieve. I know many buyers that I've dealt with and sold houses to often would ask me, Doug, how do you get paid? So that's what I wanted to ask, what your thoughts were.
Fair, you're in Tampa, go Bucks. I'm gonna be at the game on Sunday. I hope you're not rooting for Washington.
No, I'm a Lightning fan. I'm a hockey guy, but yeah, I'll keep an eye on those Bucks.
Yeah, well, real athletes don't skate. So let me ask you, Doug, you get agency agreement signed with buyers where you get paid the compensation?
I do, Denny, and I also put in the contract if the seller is offering 2.5%, for example. I had 2 that closed last week. That was the situation. I wrote in the contract that if the seller was offering less than 3% commission, that my buyer would make up the difference. And there was no problem at all with either of my buyers, because I've already, I had already laid it out to them that I worked for 3% and why I was worth it.
Well, do you mind if I appreciate you being on first time caller? I don't want to put you on the spot. Would you mind having like a minute and a half role play with me on this and how you do that?
Sure, I would certainly like to try.
All right, so I'll tell you what, I'm going to listen. So I'm going to go to Don. Why don't you be the buyer? Push back on that, and let's see. Now, the only thing here is just do it the way you normally do it, and we'll build on this. Okay, I'm going to give you a minute and a half. The only objection the buyer has is that he doesn't want to have to come out of pocket on any kind of a fee.
Hey, Denny, could we possibly not use specific dollar or specific percentages for antitrust reasons and just use watermelons and cherries as an example?
I hear you on that, Mark, and I'm not clear. I hear all kinds of different things. Even when Gary Keller has his deals, he uses dollars, not percentages. So why don't you just use $1, $2, $3? Does that make you feel better, Mark?
Yeah, it's implied that there's a fixed thing here, and so in the other groups that I'm involved in, we just use generic fruit, and then it gets the point across.
I don't care. However you want to do it, let's do it. If it's safer to be that way, we'll go the speed limit and just use your favorite fruit as long as it's not kumquat. Okay,
Hey Don, how about we're kids and we're playing cards and we're playing for matchsticks?
3 matchsticks, 2 matchsticks. It's not a fruit. Does that still work? Go ahead. Hey, Louise.
No, it doesn't work. It's still using a number.
Okay, sorry.
Well, how do you do? What do you say? 2 watermelons? How do you do that?
I
Oh, you
get
say
paid
a watermelon or a
watermelons.
cherry.
Right,
It's-
there you go.
It's difference in size. Go ahead.
Let's see how that goes, because I don't know what the size. Oh, that's so crazy. Okay. Well, a cherry is smaller than a watermelon. All right, let's do that. This should be fun. Go ahead. Don.
Well, Doug, I just don't have the extra watermelons and cherries to pay your fee.
Okay, well, Don, I appreciate that, and I'm sorry your coyotes are moving to moving somewhere. I forget, but sorry, man. But you know, Don, I understand that. And what I'm going to try to do is I'm going to try to get the seller to pay that first and foremost. Because I think that this could be a real good property for you and your family. It checks all the boxes that you have given me. And I'm going to do everything I can to help you with that, Don. And you know, if I can't get that accomplished, then I'd like to have another conversation with you and maybe reiterate to you what my value is and why I think that I'm worth what I asked for.
Well, that's all well and good, and I appreciate it, but I guess what I'm signing here is it says if it's short, I guess if you're getting shorted by the seller, I'm just putting it in my layman's terms because I don't know real estate, but if you're getting shorted by the seller by half a watermelon, what I'm signing here is potentially I got to make up that difference. Is that right?
That is exactly what the verbiage says, Don, because
But you can ask the seller to pay for it anyway?
well, the seller in this particular case is offering 2.5 watermelons.
Right.
Here's the number. You're gonna get shocked to death. Mark, we're not playing by the rules very good. So I'm gonna stop this for a second here because you're gonna have the upfront conversation. Let's just assume there's not a specific house yet. So that this is gonna be a relationship. And basically what you're saying, let's use the watermelon as the big one, and we'll use an orange and a cherry. Hey, listen, my fee is a watermelon. And if the seller's offering a orange, then I'll accept that, and you make up the difference between the watermelon. So how does that, Don? How does that work for you, Don? So that's the conversation I want you to have. So will that work for you, Don? Now you can go ahead and push back.
Yeah, I guess I'm a little leery about putting my approval on that, Doug. What I'm hearing you say, though, is you can initially ask the seller to make up the difference in the contract. Is that right?
When we get to that point, Don, if we are submitting the offer on this house, which I understood that you wanted to do, then I am going to find out about the compensation because I want to get paid for what I do. Because I know I work real hard for you and I'm going to right till the closing table. So I want to find out about my compensation. And then I will ask you to make up the difference. That is absolutely correct. If it comes up less than what I told you my fee would be.
All right,
And
let's hold it
I could
there.
always say no, right?
Hold it there. So far, I get it, and I'm not making sense here. You still haven't told me why I should use you to do that. That's what I want to hear you do. There's no specific house yet.
Your open house.
Huh?
What is your address? of Your open house.
It's 11 Copley.
You guys got an open mic, guys. What is your value proposition? And I'll stay out of role play, Doug. What is your value proposition?
Denny, that I'm going to represent you from start to finish. From the first time we sit down and you agree to use my services, that I will represent you right until the closing date, to the very best of my ability.
Okay, well, so now you mind if I push back on you?
Please do. That's why I'm here, sir.
Okay, we're having an interview. I'm the buyer now, and hey, listen, everyone says that. So, and I've got agents I've talked to that basically will settle for an orange and a cherry, or 2 cherries and a kumquat. So why should I use you? Now I'm going to pause for a moment. And I'm putting Doug on the spot because he's a good sport, and although he's a hockey fan, I don't quite understand the game. That's a question everyone should be able to answer. For example, and I'm going to make I don't work with a lot of buyers, so let's just reverse it. Doug, you be the buyer now, okay? Ready? You're the buyer. Why should I use you? Well, let me ask you something. When you buy a house, do you want your agent to be skilled enough in the market that understands market conditions? All right. And when that agent knows the market conditions, they will be able to negotiate from a position of strength. Do you want your agent to be a strong negotiator?
Yes.
And if you had the right agent that knew the market and was a strong negotiator, can you see where a strong negotiator may save you a couple cherries on the transaction?
It would make sense. Yes.
So what we're having a conversation with, you're having a conversation with an agent, me, who understands the market and is a strong negotiator. And you can tell that because I'm not caving in to what you're asking me to do. Now, if you hired an agent that would do that, would you have any respect for them? Going and negotiating the home for you. See, what you guys should recognize here, isn't that the same conversation we have with sellers that want to discount our cherries? Come on, that's funny. I don't care who you are. Talk to me, you guys. This is
Yeah, absolutely.
Analogy is great.
I love how you turn it into questions to get the point across. I think that's important.
Well, that's whoa. What do we do here? It's only 4 years.
It's all about questions.
Questions. So everyone says, I'll represent you from start to finish. You've got to find out, okay, what's important. I don't know what that means, but the issue is you're going to have to sell your value. And one of the value is going to be what? Your negotiating strength. And notice how I threw market value in there, because you know what? I mean, knowing the market. If you know the market, and Mark was just doing some research on it, he put the article in the chat. When you can quote chapter and verse and you understand the market, do you not have power and confidence when you have conversations about what a buyer or seller should do, what they should take, what's going on? Absolutely. But if you know the market but don't know how to negotiate, it's kind of like having a glove and no baseball. No, it's like having a cherry and no bowl. I'm into fruit right now.
Denny, is there anyone that would mind sharing their elevator pitch working with buyers?
Groovy, great question. Who wants to go next? I'm done enough talking. I'm going to have a little sip. Elevator pitch is going to be, all right, here's the question. I'm going to hear anyone's elevator pitch. I'll give you 30 seconds. Because this is Florida. We only have, in Fort Myers, we have buildings that go up 6 floors. That's it. Why should I use you? Who's going first? No one?
I don't have an elevator pitch, but I can give it a try. And I can give it a try.
That's okay. But part of the challenge is too on that question is because we do question based. It's hard to give like an elevator is you got to ask some questions, right? So go ahead, give it a try. 30 seconds. Hey, listen, I'm interviewing agents. I'm on the phone with you. Really quick. Tell me, why should I use you? I'm going to buy a house this weekend. Why should I use you?
Wonderful. I greatly appreciate this time so that I can make sure that I answer your question exactly how you would like it to be answered. What's most important to you in an agent that you're working with?
So what a great way to start. Well, hey, listen, you know, I don't want to pay anything out of my pocket, and I want somebody who can, be at my beck and call up until about 9 p.m.
Okay, so what I hear you saying is that you want to spend, nothing out of your pocket, and you want someone to be available to you to get your needs met when you need them met. So that's fantastic to know, because thankfully clients who have worked with me have come to find out that I'm extremely responsive to their needs. I oftentimes will provide you with information prior to what's going on so you exactly know the next steps. We have a communication system that we set up, so I know exactly how you would like to be communicated with and when. And of course, in terms of my excellent negotiation skills, my clients have found that I'm able to get them the best deal without it costing much from them.
Okay, so Dr. Laura Goodwin is here, and we can use a grinder on her. First of all, if you're talking more than 20 or 25 seconds, it's too long, and that was a commercial.
I said I was gonna try. I don't have one, so.
No, I get it. So let's,
It was smart to ask the question, what are you looking for?
her
Mhm.
first question was excellent. So I can answer the question, what, so what are you looking for? So what I say, I don't want to come out of pocket. Okay, so try this one. All right, so so when a seller says, I only want to pay 2 cherries and not 3, what's a question we've been conditioned to ask?
How do you think that benefits you?
One, what's another one? We ask it all the time.
What's
Other
important
than that.
about the,
What are you looking to receive for that?
Well, okay, that's kind of on the same track. So what's more important? Are you looking to make money or save money? What's more important to you, what you pay in fee or what your net is? So when a buyer says, I don't want to pay anything out of my pocket, so what's more important to you? What you pay for the house or let's see, how do I reverse it? Help me there.
How much money you
What?
put in your pocket? How much money you net in your pocket?
I don't think it translates that way.
no, it doesn't,
Making it more emotional to them, right? Because buyers buy on emotion.
No,
No, no.
what's more important to you, coming out of pocket? Okay.
How much money
Saving
can
a
you save?
percent or netting the most? Saving or the most? No.
What's more important, you getting the best deal or coming out of pocket?
getting the best deal or coming
Because
out of
that's the opposite of the seller's net. So do you want to,
Okay,
you want to get a better deal or you want to, what's more important, you coming out of pocket a few dollars or getting a great deal on a home? Now that's worth working on, because that's like, what do you mean? It's the same, it's the reverse of the other question. Well, listen, if you don't want to come out of pocket, that means you're going to work with an agent that does not know how to negotiate. However, if you can make an investment into the right agent that knows the market and knows how to negotiate, you might get a better buy on the home, and that the amount you save on the home may be greater than what you'd have to compensate the agent. See, that's how you stand up for value. Is this at all sinking in?
hmm
Are you guys playing Fortnite?
So something else that I was thinking of is the listing agent, the seller hires the listing agent to make the most money for them.
Yes.
The buyer hires a buyer's agent to help them save the most money and get the best deal. Again, it's looking at the opposite.
Maybe they want the good deal. Maybe it could be timing, but you're right. I mean, that's going to be, I think we have to have the conversation. And the easiest way is we start to get better at this is to look at what we've been doing all these years with our seller conversations and just kind of jumble them up a little bit. Maybe look at the mirror reflection and have that same conversation with a buyer. That's how my mind is processing this.
Denny, could you repeat that statement again? What's more important to you, coming out of pocket a few dollars or getting the right home for your family? Is that how you
the
worded it?
best
value.
deal.
The
I
best
said the best
deal
deal.
or
It could be the
best
right
deal.
home.
Best deal?
hmm
So, all right, here's another way. I'm still not happy with that. Would you be willing to come out of your pocket 2 cherries, 3 cherries?
Number.
Cherry versus watermelon.
Come out of your pocket cherries, and save oranges. I see slot machines. I'm gonna go and see the oranges and cherries. Turn it around, Mark. Thank you so much for that. So I'm just gonna use a number. All right, Mark, plug your ears. So would you be willing to invest $3 to save 10? Y'all get the concept?
I could be willing to invest $3 to save 10. Yeah.
And I guess the issue is, if you know the market, is there a better chance you can negotiate from a position of strength? I know I'm repeating myself. And can the right listing agent, understanding positioning and negotiation, net sellers more money? Yes.
Yes.
There's just not one number, like 500,000 is absolutely top. It's a range there. It's probably 5 or 500, 5, 8 or 9, whatever. Yes, the right listing agent, how they do that. I mean, there's a lot of strategies we already know, like positioning, it's not marketing. However, if you can get two people, working at the same time, blah, blah, blah. So the right agent can put more money in the seller's pocket. The right agent can help the buyer save money. Our job is to articulate that. And the benefit, this is the opportunity, and I'll get some ahas, I'll let you go because I'm 2 minutes over. When we can get compensation agreements with the buyers we're working on, we don't care what the seller's offering because we're getting paid. And you know what? You might be getting paid more. Just like a listing agent may be getting paid more if they have a stronger value proposition. So today was kind of like, you little hockey fans, like we were skating on ice doing little twirls, where they call those things. We're all over the ice today. What did you learn today?
Denny, I think one of the most valuable things I learned in business was the ability to say no. And I think that when we do that, it shows our worth. Number one, it shows number two that we're not desperate. And if we're good at what we do, we should be able to pick and choose who we deal with.
Well, you know how they spell no, don't you? It's N-E-X-T. Nice job, Doug. You're welcome anytime. Who else has learned something today?
Well, Denny, it's like preseason for hockey. This is open practice. We're going to miss, right? We're going to miss a pass. We're going to miss a shot. We're going to miss a play. This is preseason, and kudos to everybody for just being willing to be transparent, make a mistake, and say something that's not perfectly polished. This is how we get better. So thank you for setting this up.
Oh,
I second that.
Agreed.
did you get value? Am I helping you guys think a little bit?
Yes,
Yes,
absolutely.
definitely
Oh,
thinking.
Definitely.
All right. Well, anyway, it's time to quit fucking around, right? And move on. That was a P word, not an F word. Appreciate you guys. Have an awesome weekend. Love you, Minute Knuckle Bump, and we'll see you on Recon, I trust, next week, if not next Friday. See ya.
Have a
Thank
great
you.
weekend.